welcome to the latest edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Natalie Gomez. Each department here at Cal State Fullerton has their own unique way of teaching their students the skills they need to make it in their desired field. Today we focus in on the School of Nursing and their efforts to prepare their students. I have the pleasure of welcoming in Maria Matza, Assistant Professor, a registered nurse, clinical nurse specialist, and public health nurse. Welcome, Maria. How are you?
I'm fine, Natalie.
Such a great pleasure having you here. You're a public health nurse, clinical nurse specialist. You have a PhD. Tell us a little bit about yourself and, most importantly, your field in your expertise in the nursing field.
Well, I have been a nurse for 36 years, and I guess I always wanted to be a nurse ever since I was a little girl. My mother was a medical technologist, and she was an amazing person who came from Mexico with a 6th grade education and was lucky enough to have missionaries come from Loma Linda University and start a clinic and a school of nursing in a little village in Mexico where she was at. And from there, she liked it so much. She was 17 years old, and she really liked the lab side of it, and some pathologists invited her to go work in Hermosillo, which was the capital of her state. And they had friends at Berkeley, and Berkeley wasn't a university there. And so that's where she was sent to as a young woman, a young Mexican woman, which was really brave of her to do. And so she kind of had us all very much interested in health and medicine and all sorts of things like that. So I was kind of acclimated to hospitals and laboratories early in life, and that's what happened. And my father was always very much into education, but you know, he had a high school education. So I'm first generation, born and bred in East Los Angeles, and been a citizen, I guess, of Orange County for a long time now.
Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting. So now for a student, how long does it typically take for a student to become a registered nurse?
That's a really interesting question, because when I was going to school, it took forever because the schools of nursing were impacted, and that hasn't changed at all. So it takes a long, long time for students to get into a school of nursing if they're not prepared. So we still have students that are waiting, like I did, for 5 or 6 years to get into a school of nursing, because they've had to take prerequisites and they're in high demand. And so if a student isn't well prepared from, say, middle school and through high school to get into a university or have the prerequisites ready or the GPA and the SAT scores to get in, it could take them as long as it took me. But if students are well prepared, they could go straight in through, you know, as a senior, graduating into a university like Cal State Fullerton. So we do have a few of those. We have a lot of students that go by my route by taking community college classes and getting an ADN. And so here at Cal State Fullerton, our largest cohort of students are RN to BSN. We also have students that are accelerated bachelors. We have students we have a few that are LVN to BSN. And even though some of them have waited so long to get into the program, that many of them have degrees already, but they're not counted as part of that cohort. So,
oh, wow.
So we have a very high, I would say, we have a lot of brilliant registered nursing students here on campus.
Wow, that's good. That's good to know.
Yes, I think it is.
In case something ever does occur in the emergency. So we talked about how long it would take a student and how long it took you. What are some of the challenges that students go through? I know that time is a challenge because it could take forever, like you said. But any other challenges that they might go through in getting their license to be a registered nurse?
Well, we have a lot of challenges, especially in our community. You know, we have a lot of changing demographics in California. We are not matching that need for a diverse workforce in California, even though I think in July of 2015, the state of California declared that Latinos were the majority. We still have very few Hispanic registered nurses to serve that population. I think we were up to about maybe 14% of the registered nurses are Hispanic. So we don't really have the ability to serve the people in a culturally relevant, sensitive, appropriate way with language barriers and cultural barriers. Those are the kinds of things that we need to bridge. So part of the issue is the fact that getting that pipeline of nursing students into our community to serve is a huge issue. So I think we really need to reach out to our middle schools and high schools, and we even have programs in other universities in other cities where they have something from nursery school to university pipelines where they're really addressing education with families. A lot of our students, once they get to nursing school, though, still have a lot of barriers because they're first generation students and their families just are not very much aware of what that means to go to college. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of our families feel that if you're at a certain age, you need to work, and that's your first responsibility. And if you have a license to be a registered nurse, why are you getting a bachelor's degree? That's always a question that comes up. So we do here on campus have some good programs that are able to facilitate that with families and give them support and education as to why their student is in school and getting a higher education.
So going on this topic about diversity and cultural awareness in that field, the School of Nursing recently hosted an event, the Community Action Poverty Simulation, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what that event was and what the goal of it was for the nursing students here at Cal State Fullerton?
Oh, well, the poverty simulation is a live simulation that we do every semester. We're trying to do it before the semester even begins so that our students don't already have prior knowledge or any kind of bias when they come into it, because we all have our biases anyway. So it's kind of an exposure of your own self-knowledge of poverty. And so what we've done is we will gather all the students for that semester, and it could be anywhere from 80 to 150 students depending on the number of students that we have with their instructors. The students play families. They become parts of families. So we could have a family with a single mom, grandparents raising their children. We could have a single person, an elderly person, all alone, depending on the structure of the family. So we have different subsets of different types of families.
And I got to attend the event, and it was nothing like I'd ever seen before. You know, there was people running around, and you had your different sections, and if they didn't make ends meet, they had to get up early the next day to make line here, and then go do this and do that. And one night it could be that they didn't have housing, the other night it could be that they didn't have enough food on the table. And I mean, I was just in awe because many situations that were presented are what is happening, you know, in the world as we speak.
And the simulation takes part in, it's how to survive for 1 month with the finances that you have, whatever you have, and the circumstances that your family possesses. So what we do is we have volunteers that are around the room, the perimeter of the room, and we do it in the Titan Student Union in the pavilions. So it's a big room. And so we will have a school, we will have an employer, we will have a supermarket with a pharmacy, we'll have a a school, social services. We will have a utility company. We will have a mortgage company. We will have a pawnbroker. We have one of those quick cash places that takes all your money, which is a huge issue in our communities. We have a jail, a very active jail. We have a community action center. And so we have volunteers that are from OLLI, they're senior citizens that are retired professionals. It's the Osher Learning, I can't remember what they are. I'll have to,
okay.
you'll have to look it up. But OLLI is been well established here in our university, and they help us with a lot of other programs. But they came to me and volunteered to help with this at first. So a lot of those persons are taking those identities. And so they're pretending to, they take on those roles, in other words.
Now, is this event only limited to nursing, the nursing students here at Cal State Fullerton, or can anyone in the community come and participate?
Well, at this point, we've had other people come in to help participate. We've had people come from the Illumination Foundation. We've had people from Ketchum University participate. But the family roles are the students.
Okay.
We did have a professor from the College of Education participate as one of the family members. We've had people from the College of Biology, Natural Science, and Mathematics come also participate. So we have had quite a few people, but we've had a lot of interest lately. We have a great desire to work with other colleges and schools and divisions and departments in the College of Health and Human Development as well. And so what we're trying to do is do interprofessional education. So we're also thinking now about using some social work students and counseling students and human services students to help us as well. And we have had some of the professors also from those departments at one time or another take part as one of the community services that are available.
And I just want to reiterate, the event is to sensitize these students to the situations that they're going to be facing when they're actually put out on the field, right?
Well, one of the reasons why we started this is that I felt that the students really needed to empathize with those that are on the brink of poverty or that are already deeply into that cycle of poverty. And then, to our surprise, we have discovered that many of our own students have lived that life. And so what it did was it kind of brought everybody kind of on an equal level to that, that equal playing field so that they could understand, because they're going to be working with all sorts of persons, and this was helping to adjust the students' way of thinking that not everyone can pull themselves out of poverty that easily. It's a kind of a slippery slope the way we live our lives nowadays. Any one of us could be a paycheck away from the same situation. Here in Orange County, one of the reasons that we have such a high poverty index is because of the housing costs in Orange County. We're the second county in California to be at the top of that list because our housing index has raised us to that level, which is amazing to me because everyone thinks Orange County is very well-to-do. And that this is the land of the housewives of Orange County and Disneyland, and it's all wonderful. But there's a lot of hidden poverty here, a lot of invisible poverty.
Now, the idea to host an event like this, was this brought up here, or where did this simulation idea come from?
I was very fortunate to attend an American Academy of Colleges of Nursing conference in Louisiana. I think it was in 2013. And I was there with some of the other faculty, and I attended one of the workshops. They were presenting some research done on this. And I also got to meet with Dr. Adelita Cantu from the University of Texas. She's, I believe, in San Antonio. And she teaches community health nursing as I do, and she uses this in her class. And I got to meet with her and with her students, and we talked about how, this impacted her students so deeply and really changed their focus and made them more aware of patients' needs and you know, how to really readjust their interventions with patients and families so that they could meet their needs in a better way.
Well, I absolutely fell in love with the event, and even though I wasn't directly participating as a family member, not even as a volunteer, I was just there kind of observing, and I'm even observation taught me and really helped me empathize with people who live in poverty. So I can only imagine what it actually did to the students and the volunteers who were able to participate. Now, I just wanted to show the audience the poverty simulation and what we covered. So here we are, take a look.
On Sunday, August 21st, Cal State Fullerton's School of Nursing hosted their third Community Action Poverty Simulation. Roughly 80 community health students played the role of lower-income families and were exposed to real-life situations of people who live in poverty. This is Stephanie Spinks, a 27-year-old nursing student at Cal State Fullerton. Today, she's not Stephanie, but rather playing the role of Ted Tiskett, an 85-year-old man who lives in poverty.
So my name is Ted. I'm an 85-year-old widower who just recently, the last month, got kicked out of my house. And so I'm going to the homeless shelter. I'm also going to stop at social services to see if there's affordable living within the community and to see what kind of resources they can supply me with.
The simulation mirrored a community just like ours, which included a public school, homeless shelter, and a social services department. There was even a pawn shop. Students played as single moms, grandparents raising their grandkids, nuclear families whose breadwinner recently lost their job, and some, like Stephanie, played as seniors living on their own. The goal? To survive the month by keeping their home secure, keeping utilities on, buying the required food for each week, and responding appropriately to unexpected factors in life.
It's really to help build empathy and understanding, and so that our students are able to create the interventions they need for families that are appropriate.
The sound of that whistle indicated a week had passed, and any issues regarding money, shelter, or food had to wait to be resolved for the following week. Towards the end, students playing their family roles were looking for an easy income by selling drugs or selling their valuables to the pawn shop.
All you have is large items. Yeah. What I'd recommend is you put an ad in the paper or you go to Craigslist, and I will give you your transportation pass back. Sorry, I can't help you.
Later on, when they're nurses, no matter where they work, in the hospital or out in the community or anywhere, they'll be able to use these skills that they've learned and this knowledge and apply it to be able to really reach people in the ways that will help them the best.
Reporting from Cal State Fullerton, I'm Natalie Gomez with the report.
So was there anything else you wanted to add about what the School of Nursing is doing, and when is the next event and any other events that are similar to this?
Well, I just wanted to say that even though we do this at the beginning of the semester, it impacts the entire community health nursing course. The students do reflect on it. We do have a debriefing at the end, but the students really, it keeps re-emerging throughout the semester, and hopefully it will be coming through in their professional life. So it's not just a one-day deal, it really has a lot of high impact with their profession. We're now thinking about expanding it, as I said, to involve the other schools and departments that are on the university, especially in our college. So we're going to be looking at how we can utilize the students, and I know that there are other events and other activities at the university level where we're addressing poverty, and so the School of Nursing is hoping to be involved with that as well. I know that there's a food bank that's being designed and methods of being able to provide for our students, because we do have a lot of students that are living in poverty, then they don't talk about it. You know, we do have students living in their cars. We have students that don't have a place to stay, that are hungry. And so we need to take care of them. We need to take care of each other.
Well, on that note, I just want to thank you so much for coming. If you would like any more information about the School of Nursing and its events, you can visit their website at nursing.fullerton.edu. And that's all the time we have for today. I just want to thank our guest, Maria, once again for joining us. Until next time, I'm Natalie Gomez. Thank you for watching In Focus.